The second approach that an appraiser is going to do is what is called the cost approach. The cost approach, in your book, I want you to write homes or homes with no history. So we can't pull comps on it because there are no comps in the neighborhood. So what you do is you base the value on the cost to build it. Sound familiar, like anything we've talked about? How about a construction loan? Construction loan. This is the kind of loan the guy would do for a construction loan. All right? The first question you have to do is, so I'm going to build a value based on the cost to build that it costs to build these other homes. The first thing you need to understand is we're taking the value of the land out. All we're going to talk about is the cost of the structure. How much was the actual house to build? Take the value of the land out. We're going to add it back in here in just a second, and you'll see how that works when you're done. All right? So now, if I've got this structure over there and I got to build something based on the cost to build that, the next question I have to ask is I'm building a replica, which looks like it, but maybe not exactly, or am I building that other word that I can never remember? A replacement, an exact duplicate. You know, that house has travertine tiles. This one's only going to have vinyl flooring. So it's same size and all that, but it's a replica or a replacement. Or am I building exactly the same one? Because that's going to tell me what materials I need, okay? When I do that, there are three methods to determine the value. The first one is called the square foot method. This does not go into detail in the book as much as I want it to. So I want you guys to at least listen and watch and maybe take some good notes, all right? The square foot method looks a little like this. Remember, I'm not artistic. So there's the top of my house, right? And that house is, they want you to list, is 1,500 square feet, and you were trying to figure the value. Here's a house that was 1,200 square feet, and the value is $120,000 based on the cost approach. So on the square foot method, all we're typically doing is looking at the house as one big unit of 1,500 square feet. All right? So the 1,200 square foot house cost $120,000 to build. Based on the square foot method, what's the value of the 1,500 square foot house? Everybody get it's worth $150,000? Right? Because the 1,200 square foot house that was $120,000, do the math real quick. You can see there's 2 zeros gone. That's a 1, that's a 1, 2 zeros. It's $100 a square foot. That's the square foot method. So you take $100 times 1,500 square feet, you get $150,000. Ta-da! You can do that very fast on the back of an envelope sitting in your car with your client sitting right there. They go, well, what do you think that house costs? That one's $120. What's that one? Well, based on what I know by square foot, that's going to be about $150,000. What kind of houses are these good for? Can you use this for? All build the same. There's a word for that. Production builders, like, right? Davis Homes. Anybody ever really looked at Davis Homes? Brad's got a model down. He didn't buy two, squares of shingles. Okay, let's start that over so there's no pause in it. He didn't buy 2 squares of shingles for his house, did he? He probably bought 2,000 squares of shingles because he uses the same shingles on every house. He didn't buy 10 yards of gutter. He bought 10,000 yards because he uses all the same gutter. So this house, if you go into a Davis home and go, well, that house is that house. Moen faucets, Trane air conditioners, same 3-tab shingles. So if that one's 120, that one's 150. That's how the $100 a square foot comes about, because it's the same material. So this works really well in what we call the vinyl village, right? Or the throw and go. Have we ever heard it called that? Throw it up and go on. Throw up, build it, and move on. Production builders, okay? The second way to do the value, imagine, if you will, zooming in on this building that is one building of 15 or 1,200 square feet. I'm now going to look at it as what we call the unit in place method. The unit in place. Because this house is actually comprised of 20 different units. And I chose 20. You guys can choose any number you want. It's got the flooring unit. It's got the cement unit. It's got the walls unit. It's got the HVAC unit. And what I do is look at each one of those compared to this house. So then I look at, okay, well, the 1,200 has a Trane air conditioner. This one has hot. That's $5,000 better. This one has so-and-so drywall. This one has so-and-so. That's $10,000 worse. And see what I'm doing? Now, instead of the house is one unit and 1,500 square feet, I'm looking at it's comprised of 20 different units. I look at the same 20 units on both houses, and I literally just add them up. Oh, that one's plus 5K. It's minus 10K. And what I get is a total of minus 5,000. So it's actually worth 145 grand. Instead of 150, when I looked at it by the unit, it's $5,000 worse, so it's only 145,000. I see a lot of deer in the headlight. Are we good?
So if one has a fireplace, the other one doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good, you might say the heating unit. Well, that's got one air conditioner, this one's got one air conditioner and a fireplace. So it's 5,000 better.
So you take away for no fireplace.
No, that's your basis. If the 1,200 square foot is the basis and it has no fireplace, that one does have a fireplace, you would add to that one.
You add the one with the fireplace.
Yeah, because it's better. Maybe. I'm just saying, some people maybe don't think a fireplace is better.
But if you're the appraiser,
Yes.
you.
Above ground pool, minus.
Oh, I think that's 10. That's a sketchy area, I think.
All right. Now, there's one other, and let's do this one more time. So what we're going to do now is look at each unit as the quantity it takes for that unit. So when I said the flooring unit's actually made of the carpet, the pad, the tack strips, the glue, the nails, all of it. In the quantity survey method, you use everything in the house. You need the blueprints to do a quantity survey method. So this house has 90 pounds of nails that cost X. This house has 94 pounds of nails, so the cost is going to be whatever. Everybody see what I'm doing? This is great for custom build homes. When you go and say like Michael Duke, oh, there is no Michael Duke, but there's a Greg Allen home. Okay, so I'll take Greg Allen's cost and says, and I'm making this up, he used 30 tons of 2x4s, this one's 34 tons, so it goes up. He used 20 pounds of concrete, this only used 8 pounds, so the value goes down. And you use the one as the basis for the other, and you just adjust it based on whatever they used. And you would use everything. But once again, you need the blueprints because you need to know how many 2x4s, how many screws, how many feet of, what's it called, the water line. Not Pyrex, that's the glass. Yeah, people will go with PVC. There's another term. That's called the quantity survey. You need the blueprints. Said it 4 times. The quantity survey, you need the blueprints to do them. Now, in some cases, the house that was built that you're using has depreciated, so we've got to figure in depreciation. The government uses what's called straight line depreciation. Straight line depreciation means exactly what I think it sounds like it means, hopefully. It depreciates in a straight line, meaning it depreciates the same every year until its value. All right? So if I had a house that I bought for $265,000, and it has an economic life of 26 and a half years. An economic life is a term the IRS gives everything. Everything has an economic life. That's the useful life of a property, like a computer, maybe 2 years. Your car, 7 years. Right? A building, commercial building, 37 and a half. I can never remember. And residential is 26. Is it 27? 27 and a half? Yeah, I think you're right. And yeah, who cares?
Whatever, anyway.
Are you done?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
29, 27, 26 and a half. In this particular example, I said 26 and a half. That's the economic life. It's worth $265,000. How much is the depreciation straight line? I picked out some easy numbers for you. Hopefully. It's worth $265,000. It's 26.5 years economic life. Therefore, it depreciates how much? $10,000 a year. So in 5 years, what's the economic value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go up here to the curve, go over. That's $10,000 a year times 5 years is $50,000. So the house is now worth $215,000. That's $265 less 5 years of depreciation. There are several math questions on the exam about this. Make sure you understand. It's straight line, so math's real simple. It's the number of dollars per year. Dollars per year. So $265,000 per 26.5 years equals $10,000 per year. All you need to do is take the value divided by its economic life. The book will tell you an economic life of 22 years. What's the value? You may get some weird number, $18,400. Okay, whatever it is, that's what it is. All right? Now, jump forward just a little bit in the investor chapter. Depreciation allows you to hide income because you get to write the depreciation off. So let's say in this particular house, I've rented it out. It was $265,000 for 26 and a half years. I get to write off $10,000 a year, but let's say I only charged $800 a month in rent. 800 times 12 is what? $9,600. That's less than my depreciation. I showed no income on that house. I don't pay taxes on it, even though I truly made $9,600 in my pocket, because depreciation is a false loss. I mean, you don't really pay, you just lose the value. That's how it works. That's how investors work, like that. Are we good? So straight line, there's several math questions. You better look at it and understand. Then when you do the value on this, you would then add the land back in. All right? So let me change this scenario and tell you how this works. Say the house was $300,000, but the land was $35,000. What's the value of the structure? $265,000. I made those numbers up so it fits that example. So now you do the straight line depreciation on the property. 265 for over 26 and a half years. In 5 years, it's worth what? 215, but now you got to add the value of the land back in. So in 5 years, it's 215 plus the value of the land back in. There's the value. 250,000 is the value of my property. So when you figure straight line depreciation, you don't depreciate land. That will come back to haunt us in several other chapters. So you take the value of the land out, depreciate just the building, get the answer, add the land back to it, there's the value. So the property was 300 grand, 5 years later it's now worth $250,000. Took the land out, depreciated the building, added the land back in. Copacetic? Cool.